Welcome to the Tech Talks Daily Podcast, where you can learn and be inspired by real-world examples of how technology is transforming businesses and reshaping industries in a language everyone can understand. Here is your host, Neil C. Hughes.
Welcome back to the Tech Talks Daily Podcast. I have a quick question for you all today. What habits and behaviours have you noticed change over the last 12 months? Whether that be with yourself, your partner, your family, anything at all. What kind of observations have you seen? One that I have noticed is a significant move away from cash. And not just a move towards contactless payments using a physical card, but a move towards mobile contactless payments. And if we look back to over a year ago, if you had forgotten your wallet, purse, or even and you didn't have a few notes or shiny coins in your pocket, you would instantly panic and have to return home. But now, I think if you look around, more and more people are paying for everything using their smartphone, and in some cases, even smartwatch. But that's just in the physical world. If we look at online marketplaces in 2020, they helped brands shift in the wake of COVID-19. But they also required more complex payment systems. So today I've invited Marqeta CMO Vidya Peters onto the podcast to learn more about how modern card issuing is helping ease payments for online merchants. And we're also going to explore the trends in usage of mobile wallets and also what trends we can expect to see this year. So buckle up and hold on tight so I can beam your ears all the way to Amsterdam so we can speak with Vidya right now. So a massive warm welcome to the show. Can you tell the listeners a little about who you are and what you do?
Sure, Neil, it's a pleasure to be here with you. Thank you for having me. I'm Vidya Peters. I'm the Chief Marketing Officer at Marqeta. Marqeta is the first modern card issuing platform. We are at the heart of some of the most innovative brands that you probably use, such as Square, Uber, Instacart, DoorDash, Capital on Tap in the UK. And I'm excited to speak to you and be on the show.
Fantastic. I'm excited to get you on the show as well. There's so much I want to talk to you about today because although we're in 2021, if we look back just a few months to 2020, and let's face it, neither of us are going to ever forget that year, but it was the year that mobile wallets stopped being a novelty for early adopters and became a default payment at the point of sale. And I think it was 64% of consumers said that they're making payments using mobile wallets, which was up from 38% in 2019, which is just phenomenal. But can I ask you set the scene and tell me just how rapidly things are changing on that front?
If you think about mobile wallets, they originally came out in 2015 with Apple Pay.
Yeah.
A very novel product at the time, and people said, oh, this is great, very interesting. I could see the convenience of not bringing my wallet. And we started to see a slow uptick in adoption. What's been fascinating about 2020 is that it has accelerated the usage and adoption of so many key technologies at a pace that would have taken years before that. So if you think about the use of how cash has declined, it's dropped at an exponential rate in 2020 alone, and moved to more digital payments. And then when you look at digital payments in particular, as you mentioned, mobile payments has nearly doubled in use. So 38% used mobile wallets to make a payment in 2019, and that's up to 64%, as you mentioned, in 2020. And the usage of that is not just anymore because of convenience, right? It's not just, oh, I forgot my wallet. Oh, wait, here's my phone and I can pay for it. It's a matter of safety because that means that there are a few less surfaces for you to touch. There's no keypad or no signature to make. It's also about getting you in and out of retail outlets as quickly as possible. And with the rising increase in fraud, people now also realize that mobile wallets are a significantly safer method of payment than even your chip card payment. And so with a variety of those reasons, what you're seeing now is mobile payments has exploded in usage. But the funny part is that I think that behaviors like this are not only incredibly hard to change, but they're also really hard to change back. So once you've experienced this convenience and safety, I would imagine that I'm not going to see people bringing out cash out of their wallets anytime soon. And similar to the explosion in mobile wallets, there are a couple of other trends that we're also seeing in the market. Now we're seeing people use delivery services. As you can imagine, we're all in the lockdown, and you definitely don't want to be at a grocery store with hundreds of other people if you can avoid that. And what we find is that 63% of consumers say now that they've used a delivery service to order food compared to 32% in 2019. So again, a nice doubling of usage there. And so it's just been very impressive to see how across the board, so many of these technologies have moved away from being a matter of convenience and luxury to a matter of an essential service and safety.
It really has been fascinating to watch because, like you say, I mean, I've not used cash for a long time, but when you start seeing your parents and grandparents, etc., and how their habits are changing, it really just shows you just the speed at which the adoptions took place. But over at Marqeta, you state on your website that you see a card, we see endless possibilities. So can you expand on that and tell the listeners where you fit into this landscape and also the kind of problems that you're solving?
Marqeta is an open API platform. We're the first modern card issuing platform. And what does that mean? We have basically simplified the access to very complex payments infrastructure. So, Neil, if you think about the cards that you and I have traditionally had in our wallets, they're very traditional. They do basic functions. They check the balance and they ensure that you're making a charge in a reasonable zip code around, in and around where you live or usually travel to. Now, imagine a level of sophistication on a card where you could control the categories of spend. You could control what zip code payments are authorized in. You could control what amounts down to the penny and what SKU are charged on them and who's authorized to use them. That's a level of sophistication that was never possible on traditional platforms or was extremely unwieldy. And cards were generally limited to being issued by very large traditional financial institutions. Now, any business can be a card issuer. And that's what Marqeta has made possible with its open API. So on Marqeta's platform, you have access to dozens of different payments APIs, and you can build a card product that's right for your business. And what we have seen is a proliferation of use cases. It's been pretty inspiring to see different businesses build pretty unique products that are right for their customer. One example is you'll see almost every on-demand delivery service in the United States today uses a Marqeta-powered card to enable their gig workers to fulfill orders on your behalf. And those cards have such high levels of control and funding that it has significantly reduced the odds of fraud in any transaction. And there are millions of gig workers now safely shopping on your behalf, knowing that they are buying exactly what the customer ordered at the exact store at the time and place that they were supposed to be at. We are seeing companies like Square that are helping small business get instant access to their funds. So imagine a coffee shop that is receiving money from its customers. Usually they would have to wait for days for that revenue to be wired back into their bank account and use that money to pay vendors or pay their bills. And now it can go on a Marqeta-powered debit card and they get instant access to their revenue. No time required for that money to transfer back and forth. Think about a user on Cash App who receives a peer-to-peer payment. That can go on a debit card and they can go out and spend it at any POS or retail terminal. So that's what we mean by endless possibilities. We are seeing such a plethora of use cases because APIs have essentially enabled people to use payments APIs and data as ingredients to cook up really unique recipes in terms of payment experiences for their customers.
It's incredibly cool what you're doing here. And I think now more than ever, the speed of cash flow is so important right now. And just flipping back to what we were talking about a few moments ago, when in that report, I read that 76% of consumers say their use of mobile wallets has increased to some degree. But I'm curious, do you think that part of that surge in adoption is because cards and cash are just not sanitized?
That's a huge component of it. So, for example, when we double clicked on that, 63% of consumers said that they do not think physical money is sanitary. Makes sense, right? I mean, you and I touch the smallest surface today, whether that's a doorknob or a window on our way in and out somewhere, and we quickly try to sanitize our hands. Yeah. And it's pretty hard to sanitize bills coming out of your wallet. And so people, just in terms of safety and health, are trying to reduce the number of surfaces that they touch, and cash is very much a part of that. But the other part is also the convenience and ease of payment with mobile wallets. So an even higher percentage, almost 92% of consumers said that mobile wallets are a convenient way to pay, and that's up from 55% in 2019. But I'll also say this. When you think of mobile wallets and mobile payments, they're just instantly faster, right? If you think about the whole user experience of you bringing out your wallet, doling out the money, or even bringing out the card and then waiting for the transaction to go through and then signing, it's so much easier to flash your phone in a touchless way and keep moving through that checkout line. Everyone is trying to minimize the amount of time that they are spending indoors exposed to other people, and mobile wallets is a great way to get yourself in and out as quickly as possible in a very safe way.
And I think the success of any technology is always determined by adoption. And I would say, presumably, now consumers have had 8 months of experience in that convenience of a contactless system and have got more confidence in using it. I would assume that trend is here to stay. Would you agree?
I think so. I think that behaviors are very hard to change. Very rarely in history do you find such fundamentally transformational events that change human behavior so quickly and rapidly. And 2020 has been one of those years. We're finding more and more people shopping online. We find more and more people adopting products and services that they may have been more cautious about in the past. And when we asked our consumers whether they expected to continue to shop online and use digital payments with the same frequency, a large majority of them said that they would continue to do that. And it makes sense, right, Neil? If you think about some of the apps that you and I may have recently used, now my groceries and my most favorite items are already built into the app, making reorders seamless. With just a few clicks, I can ensure that it's at my doorstep. When I think about making payments on my mobile wallet, now I don't even bring my cards out. It's not safe. I don't want to lose it. I don't want to touch additional surfaces when I don't have to. So it's already been wired into my brain that I find mobile wallets and mobile payments much safer and much more hygienic to use. And so it's going to be a lot more challenging to move back to old behaviors when this is much safer and much more convenient. And I think some of these technology trends are here to stay.
Do you think the trend away from physical retail will continue into this year too? Once lockdowns start to disappear, do you think those trends will remain?
In the short term, yes. With COVID-19 still present and with consumers becoming more comfortable with online payment solutions, I definitely expect this trend to continue into this year. We also expect to see additional online marketplaces build up. I mean, there were stores that swore off ever having an online marketplace, and they have rapidly changed their mind over the last 12 months and quickly figured out how to move their business online. So in the short term, yes. I believe that electronic payments are here to stay. I believe people will continue to shop online, but I do have faith in physical retail returning. People will, when the pandemic ends, when we have vaccines, people will crave physical contact again, and they will want to go out and shop in physical stores. But I do believe it'll continue to be a hybrid model where some purchases will continue to be online and others people will venture out for more of an immersive experience. But I think the role that physical retail will play will change. People won't be coming there just for their routine shopping. I think they'll come for the experience. And I think physical retail will have to adapt to those changing needs.
Yeah, I completely agree with you there on that hybrid model. I think a couple of years ago, everyone was talking about should you be working from home or working in the office, which is better? And I think it's very similar. And the truth is neither, really. It's that hybrid model depending on where you are and what your needs are at that time. But are there any other new tech trends that you're noticing in the industry that you think might even reshape things and even customer behaviours this year?
There are a couple of trends that we feel are accelerating. They've always been there on the horizon, but I think they're moving more to the forefront now. One is, I think there's more need for global payments experiences. The whole idea of borders and being limited to the country you are in is going out the window. People are operating across borders. They have friends and family across borders. Businesses need to be thinking with a global first mindset. And so they're looking for more of a global payments experience. So this whole idea of, well, these card payments are only accepted in these nations and not in others, I think is going to quickly go away. And all of that friction of declines and, card not accepted will have to be overcome as consumers demand more of a global experience. I think the second trend that I think is going to reshape this industry is, I don't think we're going to see these out-of-the-box offers or promotions anymore. So think about all of the cards that you and I have and the usual benefits that came with it. You got points for eating out, for gas stations, for car rentals, or airline travel. Think about how completely invalid that is in the last 18 months. Nobody is scoring any of those reward points. And yet they continue to be static and be completely useless. And so there's going to be a surge in cards that are more intelligent, that are able to tailor your rewards based on actual behavior. How amazing would it have been had we had a card product in the market in the last 12 months that said, you know what, based on your behavior, we're actually going to give you points on home improvement because that's where we're seeing you spend your dollars. And you don't have to worry about getting points at the gas station anymore. And so I think there's a huge market now for right for me offers and promotions with the consumer that absolutely are tailored to their actual behavior and spending patterns and not what the company or the credit card company thought was once a good idea for them. And last but not least, while we've seen lots of offers for consumers, I think that small businesses have been suffering much more than any other type of segment in the market over the last 18 months. And I think we'll start to see more financial services and products that are tailored for them. More small business loans, more financing products, more flexibility in how they're able to access capital. And I think that's an untapped opportunity. So small businesses are an underserved segment. They're a segment that has experienced a huge burden from the pandemic and from the economic downturn over the last 12 months.
And as somebody that's working right in the heart of all this, I'm curious, are there any trends in the kind of problems and questions that your customers are coming to you and asking for help with? And how are you helping them overcome the challenges that they're asking you your help with?
I think the number one problem that we are hearing from our customers is time to market or speed. Yeah. And time is of the essence here. So let me give you a couple of examples. If you think about say the on-demand delivery industry, they can't keep up with the demand that they are experiencing. There is such a surge in orders, not just in major cities, but even some of the most rural parts of the United States where you never thought people would be ordering their groceries via an on-demand delivery app. And what they are experiencing is the challenge of hiring gig workers fast enough across the country. We're not talking hundreds, we're talking thousands of gig workers to keep up with their demand, possibly millions. And so the question and the problem that they are faced with is, how can I instantly hire, onboard, and enable these gig workers with payment methods so that they can go fulfill these orders that are backed up on our system? And so it's been awesome to partner with some of them to instantly issue cards to the driver wallets. So say you have hired a gig worker in Minnesota and you've hired them in the morning, and by noon, they have a digital card already in their digital wallet that enables them to go shop as an Instacart gig worker at the local grocery store on behalf of customers. We're also seeing banks reach out to us so that they can take advantage of instant issuance of cards directly to consumers. So if you may think of historically when cards were issued to customers, they'd have to wait 7 to 10 business days for that card to show up in the mail. And with the amount of mail theft that you're seeing in many of the cities, some of those cards don't even reach the customer. And now with offices closed and the number of addresses that are accessible to consumers, that poses an additional challenge. So banks are asking the question of, how can we instantly issue to a mobile wallet? And so we offer a product called tokenization as a service. We also have instant issuance to mobile wallets that is helping banks come up with new products for their customers to really help them get to market even faster. So I think the number one problem that we're hearing in the market is speed, and technology is a great way of helping customers address that issue.
And as we record this episode today, you're in Amsterdam and lockdown, and equally I'm locked down here in the UK, but things are starting to change, or at least we hope they will in the near future. So I've got to ask, what is it that excites you about 2021 and also the role that Marqeta will play in that?
It's been such a difficult last year and a half. And I think what I'm most excited about in 2021 is, out of a lot of this tribulation and challenge are when some of the most innovative products come to market. And that's what excites me most about 2021, is to see innovative solutions, innovative technology, more products to serve the underserved segments and markets, and to really help see how products can create more of financial access to populations across the world. So that's what excites me the most, Neil, is to really keep an eye on some of the innovation that we're going to hopefully see in the next year or two.
Love that. And I'd love to get you on later on in the year and find out how things are going and progressing there. But for anyone listening that would like to find out more information, what's the best way of finding Marqeta online, and equally contacting your team if there's a business leader that just wants a little bit more information?
Absolutely. You can reach us at marqeta.com/contact-us. That's the easiest way if you'd like to work with Marqeta, or if you'd like to follow me personally, I'm on Twitter at Vidya_Peters.
Excellent. Well, like we said at the very beginning of this podcast, 2020 was the year mobile wallets stopped being a novelty for early adopters and became that default payment method at point of sale. I've still not worked out how to quickly unlock it whilst wearing a face mask. I need to get a little bit smoother than that. But more than anything, just a big thank you for coming on and sharing your story and what's going on in the industry at the moment.
It was a pleasure. Thank you, Neil.
What a great conversation there about how technology is tearing down borders, enabling people to work from home, set up their own business and accept international payments seamlessly. And also the rise of mobile wallet and how the way that we're paying for goods is changing. But just like those very tired work from home versus working in the office argument, it's not online versus physical retail. It's not cash versus cashless. It's actually a hybrid model that will thrive. Because I'm convinced when lockdowns lift, I know countless people that will instantly want to awaken their senses by touching and feeling garments, smelling that fresh coffee, and of course them donuts, handing over physical cash to pay for something, and sitting in a food court chatting with friends. But there will also be moments when they want to zip in, pay with their smartphone immediately, or add something to a one-click checkout, and then just go about their day as quickly as possible. And that is the point. It's that hybrid model. And I think if we could do one thing this year, it would be to stop with this binary thinking of absolutely everything, where it's either online versus offline, work from home working versus working in the office, right versus wrong, right versus left. That space where all the magic happens in our life is having options, flexibility, choice and freedom. But maybe I'm just an ageing hippie that always looks on the bright side of things. So over to you. Do you confidently now use your smartphone to pay for stuff? Or are you still a little bit nervous about using it in a very busy queue? And how do you see things evolving this year? Please email me, techblogwriter@outlook.com. LinkedIn and Twitter is just at Neil C. Hughes. And my website is techblogwriter.co.uk, where you'll find over 1,500 interviews across Tech Talks Daily, my show with Citrix, and my show with Netgear. But we're out of time now, so a big thank you for listening as always. I hope you'll come and join me again tomorrow. We'll do it all again. But a big thank you for listening today. And until next time, don't be a stranger.
Thank you for listening to the Tech Talks Daily Podcast with Neil C. Hughes. Remember, technology works best when it brings people together.